Number 10. Instagram post. Minutes after the verdict was announced, Heard rushed to Instagram and posted a statement declaring the reason she lost. Quote, "I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband." She really doubled down on aligning herself with the Me Too movement, writing that she was disappointed in what this verdict means for women and called it a setback. Quote, "It sets back the clock to a time when women spoke up and could be publicly shamed and humiliated," and adding that it sets back the idea that violence against women should be taken seriously. The post was a pretty good way to ensure that the verdict of the trial looked like a defeat for all women, because Heard knows that to bring down Depp's reputation, she needs to conflate the case with larger issues like freedom of speech or the Me Too movement. Number 9. Shopping at TJ Maxx. At first, the TJ Maxx story seemed a little bit too strange to actually be true. Sure, there's nothing wrong with going on a discount shopping spree, but because it was so rare for her to be spotted in public after the trial, something about the story made fans a little suspicious. When the pictures first went viral, the internet had a lot of sympathy for Heard, as they said she was broke or just going through financial issues. But the inconsistencies in the way in which the footage was taken suggest that it was totally staged. In fact, Radar Online just released detailed evidence that it was faked, suggesting that it was her sister who took both the pictures and the video. So many things just don't add up. It's highly unlikely a photographer wouldn't want to take credit for taking a picture that will make headlines around the world. The footage was sold to TMZ anonymously, which is obviously pretty sketchy. But however the story came to be, it certainly brought her some positive publicity and made people feel sorry for her. Number 8. Attacking his fan base. While on NBC, Heard confessed to Savannah Guthrie that she felt less than human during the defamation trial because of the overwhelming outrage against her by Depp's fans. Quote, "Every single day I passed for 3, 4, sometimes 6 blocks, city blocks, with people holding signs saying 'Burn the witch' and 'Death to Amber.'" Now, it's pretty obvious that she's not just talking about the hundreds of protesters waiting outside the courtroom, but also her ex-husband's undeniable star power, which she attributes to the reason why he won. Quote, "He's a beloved character and people feel they know him. He's a fantastic actor." She goes on to say that when she took the stand, she saw a courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans, insinuating that the jury was influenced by the overwhelming voices of his fans, who only saw him as a beloved actor instead of who he really was. I mean, it's something that she should have expected. The court proceedings were broadcast live on TV, which of course attracted crowds of in-person admirers, most of whom supported Depp. Number 7. Blaming social media. Heard has also been very vocal about the role that social media played in the trial and emphasized just how much the internet supported Depp. It's true that on TikTok, people have overwhelmingly shown their support for the Pirates of the Caribbean actor. In fact, the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp has around 20 billion views on TikTok, while hashtag Justice for Amber Heard only has 80 million. Not to mention, hashtags like Amber Heard is guilty has over 900 million views on social media. She told Guthrie, quote, "Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation." Although jurors were instructed not to follow the discourse related to the trial online, even Heard's attorney, Elaine Bredhoft, said that there was a 10-day break in the case which did not help her client. The barrage of hate that Heard has received on the internet cannot really be downplayed, but by calling it unfair and lopsided, Heard's defense team is still trying to score some points with the public long after the verdict has been reached. Number 6. Therapist notes. Much has been made of the therapist notes that Heard claims would prove Depp physically attacked her. Quote, "There's a binder worth of years of notes dating back to 2011, from the very beginning of my relationship, that were taken by my doctor. After the notes were examined, it was revealed that on one of the pages, the therapist wrote that Heard claimed Depp had hit her and threw her to the floor. Another note 8 months later said that Depp had ripped her nightgown and threw her on the bed." She told Guthrie that the notes represented years and years of real-time explanations of what was going on. Even Bredhoft claimed that her client's medical records were suppressed, which she said were very significant because they showed a pattern going all the way back to 2012, where Heard was reporting domestic violence to her therapist. But if it was so significant, why wasn't it counted? Well, Judge Penny had ruled the notes as hearsay and refused to allow the evidence into the trial, which makes total sense. Number 5. Bringing up the UK trial. When referring to the UK trial that Depp lost, Heard Heard said, quote, "There was another trial that dealt with the same substantive issues and had even more evidence in. In fact, my evidence was largely kept out." She went on to claim that because the decision was made by a jury and not by a judge, Depp's defense team was easily able to influence them. While it's true that a London court rejected Depp's defamation lawsuit, Camille Vasquez pointed to the fact that the evidence presented in the US trial far exceeded what was presented in the UK court. She also explained that it was a different process entirely, because in London, Depp's lawsuit was against The Sun, which is considered to be the biggest tabloid in the country, but his lawsuit in Virginia was against Heard directly. Vasquez added that at this time, she believes the jury got it right. While it's impossible to find out exactly which pieces of evidence were suppressed as Heard claims, she clearly does not want anyone to forget her win in the first trial. New text evidence. Heard also took issues with texts that weren't allowed into the trial. She claimed that the text messages she sent to friends and family during her relationship with Depp are evidence of the domestic violence that she suffered during their marriage. In one message, Heard claims that she sent her father in 2014, and she wrote that Depp kicked her in front of everyone during a private flight. In fact, that very incident was a subject of testimony in the couple's defamation trial. And another in 2015 read, quote, "Johnny did a number on me tonight. I'm safe and with my support tonight, but I need some real help. Can I come tomorrow? I called earlier because I thought I had a concussion and I didn't know if I should have called police." By exposing the text messages during her NBC interview, it's clear that she believes this new line of evidence is going to somehow muddy the waters of the case, even though she knows it wasn't allowed in the trial. Number 3. Evan Rachel Wood. This week, Amber Heard's best friend, Eve Barlow, compared the trial's defeat to Evan Rachel Wood's situation by saying that the Westworld actress was next. The truth is, Wood is strikingly similar to Heard in many ways, which is probably why they support each other. Like Heard, she is openly bisexual and has also claimed to have suffered domestic violence and has been physically mistreated at the hands of a powerful man. In her case, her ex-fiancé Marilyn Manson. In fact, when Heard's bisexuality was being criticized in the media and was linked to problems in her marriage, Wood quickly came to her defense on Twitter. The two cases are also connected in the way that Wood's accusations have completely derailed Manson's successful music, TV, and film career, and now he is suing her for defamation. For Heard, at least, choosing to align herself with Wood is a really good PR move, because with all things in her case considered, she has a much better chance of coming out on top and breathing life right back into the Me Too movement. Number 2. Plans to appeal. Elaine Bredhoft told Guthrie that she will absolutely be appealing the verdict reached in the defamation trial. The attorney said that her client has excellent grounds for an appeal after a jury awarded $15 million in damages to Depp and $2 million in damages to Heard. Quote, "We even had tried to get the UK judgment in to discuss his case because he already had his shot." She goes on to speak about all the evidence that was supposedly suppressed and did not come in. But a successful appeal would be a real uphill battle for the actress, as appeals are notoriously hard to win. And it wouldn't even be a new trial, but an examination of whether or not it was fair, or if any mistakes were made that changed the outcome. But Bredhoft insisted Heard's medical records were suppressed, and that a number of things were allowed in court that should not have been allowed, which caused the jury to be confused. But even if the appeal is unsuccessful, it would send a message that she's not giving up and continuing to fight. Number 1. Tell-all book. In the aftermath of the defamation trial, Heard is reportedly in talks to write a tell-all book. In fact, a source close to the star has called it more of a revenge book. Many see it as a last-ditch effort at making a little bit of money from the highly publicized case because of her dire financial situation. But the release of this book is likely going to do more than that, because sources close to the star have said that she now has nothing to lose. She's going to try and bring Depp down with her. Heard told Guthrie that she's terrified that Depp might sue her again, and for good reason. Experts believe that Depp's attorneys will be watching very carefully for anything written about the actor that could constitute defamation, and if she crosses the line, she'll end up right back in court. While Heard may not have anything to lose when it comes to her reputation, she certainly can't afford the threat of another lawsuit. Number 10. The appeal. Elaine Bredhoft told NBC's Savannah Guthrie that she will absolutely be appealing the verdict reached in the defamation trial. Quote, "We even had to try to get the UK judgment in to dismiss this case because he already has his shot." She also goes on to speak about the evidence that supposedly did not come in. It turns out she was serious, as within a month of the verdict in Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's defamation lawsuit, Heard's legal team has officially begun the appeal process. In a lengthy filing in Virginia court on Friday, the actress's Heard's legal team is seeking to throw out the June verdict in the high-profile defamation lawsuit by arguing that the ruling had a number of issues, including poor legal reasoning, an improperly vetted jury, and excessively awarded damages. Bredhoft also insisted that Heard's medical records were suppressed and that a number of things were allowed in court that should not have been allowed in, which caused the jury to be confused. But even if the appeal is unsuccessful, it's clear that Heard believes the trial was totally rigged. Number 9. Insufficient evidence. Heard's attorneys have brought forth a 43-page memorandum which asks for the verdict in Johnny Depp's libel case to be tossed on the grounds of insufficient evidence, and with it a more than $10 million award. The main reason? Well, Heard's team argued that it was false for Depp to claim that he lost his role in Pirates of the Caribbean film series all because of her op-ed she wrote in the Washington Post, citing the fact that Depp didn't provide evidence that the op-ed was the reason he lost the role in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. The lengthy document claims that there were articles noting he wouldn't be in the 6th film more than 2 months before Heard's essay was published, and that because Depp was never officially contracted to do a 6th film, he cannot claim damages for a film he was never contracted to do, insisting that the film was already in development without him on board before Heard's essay was even published. Number 8. Juror 15. Heard also claims that one of the jurors who served during the trial was not properly vetted, saying that there were problems with their credibility. The filing points to Juror 15 as proof, arguing that there appears to be a 25-year discrepancy between their birthday on court records and other identity documents. They urge the court to investigate whether Juror 15 properly served on the jury because their listed birth year was 1945, and according to her attorneys, the juror was clearly born later than 1945. In fact, publicly available information demonstrates that he appears to have been born in 1970. The motion goes on to say, quote, "This discrepancy raises the question of whether or not Juror 15 actually received a summons for jury duty and was properly vetted by the court to serve on the jury," basically claiming that the jury selection was rigged because of the massive age discrepancy. Heard's legal team are hoping this alleged discrepancy can raise questions over the suitability of the jury panel as a whole. The filing also alleges that Juror 15 may be an entirely different person than who they say they are, which would completely compromise the due process of the trial. Number 7. Flawed legal logic. In court documents that were filed for Heard's appeal, Elaine Bredhoft said that the case rests on flawed legal logic, arguing that instead of proving how the op-ed negatively affected Depp's claims, they were based solely on defamation by implication theory, abandoning any claims that Heard's statements were actually false. The attorney also argued that Depp's legal team said it would focus on the period after the op-ed came out, but instead widened to encompass events and statements from way back in 2016. The filing argues that instead of proving Heard hurt his career with her 2018 essay, which is why he sued her for defamation, he was instead trying to disprove the initial 2016 domestic violence allegations, which were not up for judgment. Heard's team also claims that Depp didn't actually prove that he suffered that much financial hardship because of the op-ed. In fact, they claimed that it was very unlikely the actor would have appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean 6 after all, because he himself said he wouldn't have taken the role for 1,000,000 alpacas. Number 6. Lack of motive. This one is really interesting. Another reason Heard's team is filing the appeal is because they claim she actually believes her own allegations. That's right, her team is arguing that what actually matters here is whether or not Heard believes that she's a real victim of domestic violence. They are saying that if she believes her own allegations, a jury can't find that she acted with malice, and that she would have written the op-ed without any bad intentions. The court documents insist that Depp's legal team never actually proved she didn't believe her own claims. In the appeal, the text says, quote, "The jury's verdict was obviously influenced by Mr. Depp's pleas in the face of the court's preclusion of Mrs. Heard's introduction of evidence that Mr. Depp had, in fact, already been tried in the court of his choice for committing 12 acts of domestic violence." So basically her team is trying to write off the verdict by saying that Heard did not have malicious intent by writing the op-ed. Number 5. Excessive damages. As a part of the appeal filed by Amber Heard's legal team, they insist that the damages awarded to her ex-husband are far too high considering the verdict. The lengthy document goes on to read, quote, "The jury's compensatory and punitive damage award were excessive as a matter of law," and added that Depp only deserved to receive reputational damages, insinuating that the damages awarded to him were blown way out of proportion. If you don't know, the two parties were found to have defamed each other in June, but the jury ruled largely in Depp's favor, awarding him $15 million in damages, while Heard was only awarded $2 million. The judge later lessened the punitive damages to $350 and $50,000, citing limits set by state law. Following the trial, Heard's lawyer said in June that the actor wouldn't be able to pay the monetary penalty awarded to Depp, but Judge Penny told Heard's attorney that if she wanted to appeal the verdict, she would have to put up an $8.35 million bond with an annual 6% interest. Representatives for Heard have said that she does not have the money to pay Depp or meet the bond, so not sure how that's going to happen. Number 4. Discrediting witnesses. Following her lawyer, Elaine Bredhoft, Heard in fact claimed that the actor paid the witnesses brought by him for their testimonies. In a shocking clip released by NBC, Savannah Guthrie asked the actress about the various reasons that the jury might have had for not believing her. 36-year-old Texas native said, quote, "They had sat in those seats and heard over 3 weeks of non-stop, relentless testimony from paid employees. And towards the end of the trial, randos, as I say." That's right, she literally called the witnesses for Johnny Depp randoms, and many people believe she was even talking about British model Kate Moss. She later also stated that the jurors did not believe her claims, as the 3.5 weeks of testimonies by Johnny Depp's attorneys was an attempt to portray Heard as a non-credible person. In fact, the Aquaman actress added that she thought the testimonies from Depp's witnesses conditioned the jury not to believe one word that came out of her mouth. Number 2. New text evidence. Heard also took issue with texts that weren't allowed into the trial. She actually claimed that the text messages she sent to friends and family during her relationship with Depp are evidence of the domestic violence that she suffered during their marriage. In one message Heard claims she sent her father in 2014, she wrote that Depp kicked her in front of everyone during a private flight. In fact, that very incident was a subject of testimony in the couple's defamation trial as well. And another in 2015 read, quote, "Johnny did a number on me tonight. I'm safe and I'm with my support tonight, but I need some real help. Can I come tomorrow? I called earlier because I thought I had a concussion and I didn't know if I should have called police." By exposing the text messages during her NBC interview, it's clear that she believes this new line of evidence is going to somehow muddy the waters of the case, even though she knows that it wasn't actually allowed in the trial. And number 1. Discrediting audio tapes. The audio recordings played during Depp's testimony show Heard admitting to starting a physical fight between them and downplaying his reaction to the incident. When speaking on NBC with Savannah Guthrie, Heard claimed that the audio tapes were edited. Quote, "What you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening." But when Guthrie said that Heard admitted to starting fights on recorded audio, she said, quote, "I know how much has been made of these audio tapes. They were first leaked online after being edited. What you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening," claiming that the 20-second clips are not representative of the 2 or 3 hour conversations they came from. But when Guthrie asked her why she hadn't submitted the full recordings, she just said, "I'm not a lawyer." Well, now she is really trying to discredit those tapes and insinuate that the trial was rigged. Number 10. Her assistant's paycheck. This is a great way to start off the list because it goes to show you just how stingy Amber Heard was with money. She refused to pay her former assistant the salary that she was entitled to and proceeded to bully her when she spoke up about it. I'm talking about Kate James, of course, who was her assistant for 3 years between 2012 to 2015. She reportedly came with nearly 10 years of experience working with A-list celebrities, but started working for Heard as a part-time employee to have a bit of a flexible schedule to care for her son. She had several duties from grocery shopping, picking up her dry cleaning, to talking with her Hollywood agents and seeing her overall workflow. She was even asked to collect 2 copies of any magazine that featured Heard on the cover and store them in the garage. She was doing all of this for $25 an hour, which was less than half of what she should be making as a celebrity personal assistant. When she became full-time, Amber gave her a salary of only $50,000 and reportedly screamed at Kate when she tried to negotiate it. How about just paying your employees a living wage? Number 9. The empty pledge. Undoubtedly, one of the craziest moments in the trial was when Terence Doherty, the General Counsel and Chief Operating Officer of the ACLU, testified about what really happened to the money Amber pledged. He revealed in a recorded deposition that the actress only donated $1.3 million of the $3.5 million that she pledged to the organization from her divorce settlement. So if we rewind a little bit, when Johnny and Amber reached a divorce settlement back in 2016, the actress announced that she would donate the entirety of her $7 million divorce settlement to charity, half to the American Civil Liberties Union and half to the Children's Hospital Los Angeles. So this means that the ACLU should have received $3.5 million. But Mr. Doherty said that they only received 4 donations which totaled $1.3 million. The catch is that only one of those payments was from Amber directly. To make matters worse, when she took the stand and was questioned, she told the court that she used the word pledge and donate synonymously, which revealed that she didn't really intend to make good on her promise and most likely just did it for publicity. Number 8. Her Yucca Valley home. Amber revealed during her testimony that she currently resides in Yucca Valley, California. The unheralded town in California is 120 miles east of Los Angeles, and it's not the obvious choice for an actress who would probably need to live close to the city for work. But the purchase of the massive property becomes interesting when we look at when she bought it. According to an investigation by Dirt, Amber's name does not appear on the deed, but research points to a mysterious trust with clear links to the actress. The trust quietly bought the 6-acre estate in early 2019, 3 years after she pledged $7 million to charity. The property was bought for $570,000, roughly a year before the coronavirus pandemic sent desert home prices soaring. So now it's valued at over $2 million. The custom home offers an attached 3-car garage and nearly 2,500 square feet of living space. But the fact that it wasn't bought under her name and purchased 3 years after she promised the money to charity is really sketchy. Number 7. The revenge memoir. In the aftermath of the defamation lawsuit, Amber is reportedly in talks to write a tell-all memoir that is said to be some kind of revenge book. Reports that the star is working on a multi-million-dollar book deal have been circulating online for weeks. In fact, a report from Radar suggested that the prospect of a book has caused a frenzy in the publishing world, with negotiations reportedly in the region of $15 million. That would be a very nice payday for the actress given her dire financial situation. Many see it as a last-ditch effort at making a little bit of money from the highly publicized case, and that it is. But aside from a quick money grab, she might genuinely need a lengthy book to tell her side of the story. I mean, she started dating Johnny back in 2012, and probably still a lot of details about their relationship weren't able to be addressed in the trial. The actress told Guthrie that she's terrified her ex-husband might sue her again, and it's true that she simply cannot afford the threat of another lawsuit. So Amber will need to be very careful about what she writes, considering she could end up right back in court. Number 6. Aquaman 2. It looks like Amber may still be appearing in Aquaman 2 after all, as the actress has furiously denied reports of her being cut from the sequel. Apart from trying to save face, one of the reasons is of course money. During the trial, entertainment expert Catherine Arnold testified that Amber was fighting for her life to be in the film and was paid a whopping $2 million to star in the sequel. That's double the salary she received for the first installment. The movie would have been a really sweet gig for her considering her reported net worth and how much she still owes Johnny. She's really trying to stay in the DCEU because those movies pay extremely well compared to the kind of indie, art house films that she's managed to get throughout her career. So it's no surprise that she's holding onto her role as Mira with tooth and nail. Even Amber's spokesperson shut down the claims that she's being recast. Quote, "The rumor mill continues as it has from day one. Inaccurate, insensitive, and highly insane." In fact, she testified that because of Johnny's smear campaign against her, she was given a new script for Aquaman 2. Quote, "They basically took a bunch out of my role," claiming that her character now only appears in 10 minutes of the film. Number 5. The luxury mansion. Everyone was shocked when multiple reports began to emerge that Amber was staying in a luxury $22,500 a month mansion during her legal battle. It was really crazy when you think about her so-called financial situation and promises to charity. The 13,000 square foot property was a whopping $22,500 a month. Meanwhile, she still has not been able to donate the funds that she promised, and she said this is because her ex-husband was suing her. Everyone was really confused about how the actress was able to afford it, especially after the verdict was handed down and she was ordered to pay Johnny over $10 million in damages. The mansion, which is only a 25-minute drive from the Fairfax County Courthouse, sits on an acre of land and has 8 bedrooms, including a tennis court, a home movie theater, and a pair of sweeping staircases in the entryway. Not only that, but its listing on Zillow describes it as one of the most distinctive and private estates offered in McLean, so it looks like she was not being entirely truthful about her finances at all. Number 4. New movies. The actress already has not 1 but 2 films lined lined up following her loss in the defamation lawsuit. So in some ways, it looks as if the 36-year-old is still winning, considering that she can still call herself a working actor. Macro reports that just before the trial commenced, Amber had just finished filming her upcoming movie called In the Fire. The film is set in the 1800s, and Amber will be playing a North American psychiatrist who heads to a remote plantation to take care of a boy with special abilities. But the plot thickens as a psychiatrist tries to find a scientific explanation for the boy's abilities, and she faces backlash from the small religious town. The film was directed by Connor Allen and does not yet have a release date. Not only that, but she's also set to star in another movie called Run Away With Me. According to IMDb, the film is about an American in Paris who falls in love with the model, and they then discover the criminal underworld of the modeling industry. Both premises sound interesting, but they'll be buried in controversy by the time they get released, although no doubt Amber herself will have made bank from the movies. Number 3, the NBC exclusive. The actress, who was interviewed by Savannah Guthrie on NBC, was reportedly paid very well for her exclusive interview. It has been suggested that she was paid a large sum of money for speaking out on NBC, and as much as $1 million. Not only that, but she was reportedly given some of the questions in advance. But aside from just a simple paycheck, she also did the interview to double down on her side of the story. She spoke about the role that social media played in the trial and emphasized just how much the internet supported her ex-husband. Quote, "Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't tell me, look me in the eyes and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation." She brought up the issue of free speech and claimed that the defamation case was about our First Amendment rights to speak. According to an official spokesperson, she decided to come on NBC because Johnny's legal team blanketed the media for days after the verdict with numerous statements and interviews on television. But hey, the money was probably nice too. Number 2, affair with Elon Musk. If you're gonna cheat on your millionaire husband, might as well do it with a billionaire, right? Well, at least that seems to be the kind of logic Amber used when she was seeing Elon Musk while she was still married to Johnny. The two dated publicly after her divorce, but Johnny testified that they started seeing each other much earlier than that. The legal documents read, quote, "Unbeknownst to Mr. Depp, no later than 1 month after his marriage to Miss Heard, she was spending time in a new relationship with Tesla and SpaceX founder Elon Musk." So, while Johnny was out of the country, filming in March of 2015, building staff testified that Amber had the tech billionaire over late at night in their shared penthouse. In fact, she specifically asked the staff to give Elon access to the building's parking garage late at night. They also saw him leaving the building the next morning. Maybe they just had a pillow fight, who knows? But she certainly has a very distinct taste when it comes to men, which comes in handy when she really needs to keep up her lifestyle. The appeal. One of the biggest ways Amber was going to get her money back rested on the appeal. But now it looks like Judge Penny, who presided over the high-profile case, has rejected that. Amber's defense team recently filed documents requesting a new trial on the basis of improper juror service. Basically, the judge dismissed claims that an individual juror had not been properly vetted and said the court remained bound by the jury's competent decision. The 43-page memorandum argued that Johnny's defense team used poor legal reasoning and that the damages awarded to him were excessive. But most shockingly, her team alleged that one of the jurors who served during the trial was not properly vetted, specifically juror number 15, pointing to the fact that their birth year was listed as 1945, but according to other information, he appears to have been born around 1970. Elaine Bredhoft, Amber's attorney, also insisted that her medical records were suppressed and that a number of things were allowed in court that should not have been allowed, which caused the jury to be confused. It looks like this didn't really work out for Amber either, because a successful appeal was almost impossible to begin with. So maybe it had a little more to do with getting out of the money that she still owes Johnny.